Hello and welcome to another episode of the LTA Report. This is episode 6. We're live
Hello
on
and welcome to
YouTube.
another
And
episode
oh
of the
man, I
LTA
keep forgetting to
Report.
mute
This is
myself.
episode
I keep
6.
muting myself. Okay. Every time this happens, my God, you think I'd learn or something? Um, yeah, it's episode 6. We're live on YouTube and Twitch. We got new socials for Twitter, Instagram, and others to come. Um, we're we're excited to keep doing cool stuff with the LTA Report, and we actually have stuff to talk about this episode. So maybe we should just get right into it. Do we want to talk about like the tweet, the feats of strength tweet that went viral yesterday?
Yeah, let's go for it.
All right, so there's this like whole difference of player feeling and sentiment versus actual win rate, and people because so what happened was when you get feats of strength, that means you won 2 out of 3 of like whatever you needed to win, right? And so what could happen is because the new upgraded boots are coded, you can only get them if you have the feats of strength. So then what people did were they looked at the purchase rate, even though you don't purchase this automatic, right? They looked at the purchase rate of these new boots, the upgraded boots, not the 750 gold, but the like just I think they're called like majestic or whatever it's called. They looked at the win rate of those, and then they were able to say, hey, the win rate of these boots is the win rate of feats of strength. And it was like something crazy, like 74%. And people were just like going mad. They're like, no wonder this game feels snowbally. And like, if we lose our, if you lose first blood, or if you lose feats of strength, you're basically done with the game. And so Riot Froxon, who's like a lead of design, came out and said, hey, look, as a matter of fact, things haven't changed that much. It's like very slightly different between last year, but the sentiment is that it's a lot worse. So we're going to address the sentiment, but as a matter of fact, here are the actual like the data between 1424 and which is like the previous patch and the new patch, and like first blood was a big thing where like a lot of people just FF they lose first blood because it's like I didn't do anything wrong, but enemy team got first blood because my jungler is trolling or something. Actually, first blood win rate is like exactly the same or a little bit less, 57.6 versus 57.5. It didn't actually matter much. And basically, he goes through a bunch of things and he's like, look, it's pretty much the same. And the big point that he talks about is that, look, yes, you should not have at 14 minutes or like at 20 minutes, you should not have the same, you shouldn't have a 50% win rate of winning. And he says you're like, it would be inappropriate for a game to still be 50-60% chance to win at the 15 to 20 minute mark, or the game would just be too long. You want to have a higher percentage of winning because you're ahead, right? If you, it's just, it's not a crazy amount where like you should just insta FF, but at the same time, like if things are always 50-50, then why would you even like get feats of strength? Why would you buy items? Why would you do anything? People were not happy, but he did say that they're going to look at least removing first blood from being a feat of strength. Um, Personally, I understand people like getting frustrated, but I don't buy it. Like I thought it was a really cool system. I did not feel like it was OP. I played a bunch of games on this patch on this season, and I just felt like it was a good addition. It actually made my team group more often. I think we were talking about this off stream. Like supports in silver are like going to get grubs because they're like, hey, we need to like play for objectives because we want the feat of strength. Like it I felt like it was a positive addition to game, but I understand that most people felt like it's too snowbally, even though like statistically speaking it wasn't. But how did you feel about the change, Mark?
Um, I haven't really had any like positive or negative feels about it. I don't think they're OP, like you said. I I personally don't. I know like ADC is very weak in this season, anyways, but I don't see the value that they've brought. The only time I have is like when I've like off rolled and played tank. I think they're probably the only boots of strength. I thought, okay, this can add value, but even then it doesn't. I think it has like I don't think this was their objective, but it has made people a little bit more aware about objective play because you're now forcing, like you said, I had literally in my like first few games, supports are backing on a timer that you'd normally see high elo like players thinking about, right? And they're grouping for objective. Like the enemy bot lane is backing to go and help the jungler um, secure grubs because that's one of like the main like star components or defeats the strength, right? So like I think it has its pros and cons. I think from reading the tweet, they're not really like fussed about it too much. I like they even admit that the 750 gold isn't really worth it. Like when you can just buy like small components that have equal value or if not better, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's a cool addition in the sense it's made at least low reload games a little bit more macro focused. But I think Atakan also counters that by making the teams completely abandon what they're doing to just all go fight at this one objective. It feels like early day Rift Herald when that was like introduced again, like the new and improved one, right? So it, I'm not too fussed about how like, feats of strength have been. I don't think it's OP. I think people are like clinging onto it as OP. But you can just see from the stats, right? Who would have thought teams that win the early game normally win the game? Like, who would have thought that?
Who would have thought? You're winning the early game, you won the game. I like how you put it. Yeah, actually,
Uh,
I've seen that too. I just wait till 20 minutes, even if I'm 0 and 5. I just wait until Atacon spawns, make sure I have my ulti, and then wait until it's half HP and go in there, and like, they're all just like completely destroyed. It's such bait. I completely agree with you. Um,
and like they just the brain locks off. Like, and I know most low elo players don't have like a brain to begin with, but as soon as it spawns, it's just right. Even if we're fighting in the middle of the lane, I just see both my top laners like just abandon ship, walk through mid to go and freaking take this not useless objective, but half the time it decides the game for the other team and not your own team when you're winning. I feel like it's an absolute bait for lower elo like teams that are winning the early game. Like literally example, I think the last night I had a Caitlyn 0-2 in lane. We were completely smashing. Gets a quadra kill when we were trying to take Atakan, and then we lose the game.
oh my god, that's hilarious. Honestly, I kind of like that part of the game where there's this thing that's like high risk, high reward, and people just don't understand it. I mean, I've been playing jungle. I haven't played jungle in a long time, like since season 5 or season 6, and I've been playing jungle again, and it's been interesting. Like people just command you. You know, back in the day, back in my day, when I played
Yeah,
jungle, people would ask for ganks, but that's pretty much it. Like wherever you go, they just listen and obey and like listen to your pings. Nowadays, everyone's just like, no, come here, no, go there, no, take this objective, no, take that objective. I'll be on grubs, okay? I'll be on grubs and they're pinging dragon. I'm like, what do you want me to do? I can't be in 2 places at once. And then I go to dragon and they start pinging grub, and I'm just like, oh, dude, I need to mute everybody. I can't do this. You got that Caitlyn got a quadra. Apparently, Woohie's gotten 3 pentas so far, just killing people
it
and
was Wookie
Atakan.
on
Yeah,
Twitch.
he's
I
on
don't know
he's
if
on Twitch.
okay,
It's
let me
it's
move
fun.
my
I
chat
enjoy that
Twitch.
kind of fiesta. Unless I'm the one losing, then I don't enjoy it. But no, I'm kidding. I enjoy it either way. But it's been fun. The other thing that I wanted to bring up about the new season, I know we talked a lot about the new season, but hey, it is what it is. Uh, Free came out with a video, and the video was really good, talking about why they decided to add Fearless. So, not gonna spoil everything that he talks about, but he goes like literally like we had 6 different options because we wanted to achieve something, and Fearless was what we ended up with. We wanted more variety, basically. And he talked about why it was a problem, why it was something they wanted to achieve, all the different like formats they could have had, what the problems with those were, and why they landed on Fearless. And then at the very end, he says, if it goes well, it's not my call, but we may do this for all of 2026 moving forward. And that got me
Mm.
scared. I'm scared. The last Free Nation,
I
go
don't like
ahead.
that.
Yeah, I don't like it
No, no, no.
either.
You keep going. I don't like that.
The last Free Nation just actually did their earlier this morning when they were doing summoning insight. They talked about that, and they talked about really good like points that I may or may not have shared. I think in general we agree that I would like to see Bin play his Jax. I think Thorin made that point. He was like, I like seeing Bin play his Jax. He's really good on it. I want to see him play the champions that he's like extremely good on. For me personally, maybe because I come from an A and I feel like whenever we pull out our pocket picks, we do quite well with them. That just it's not a thing anymore. All of a sudden, like if you just look at FlyQuest versus what's it called? Gen G. As soon as they pick the Seraphine, mid, they show it, all of a sudden their strategy's gone. So now Genji don't even have to ban it. Genji had to ban Seraphine like every single game afterwards because they were like, we don't have an answer to this. This is destroying us. So you just take a huge advantage away from the
Hmm.
team. Like it's different strategy, and I understand. It's like, oh, I prefer this way versus that way. It's just different. But like, I don't agree that there's a huge strategic part of like, I want to be able to counter what you do. Think of NRG beating G2. Like if we play Jarvan game 1 and we can't play game 2, we may not win that series. Like
Hmm.
Contract's a monster on Jarvan. And the fact that they
Think
had the
about think about FlyQuest C9 from summer last year, right? If that Ivan's gone, that's like a big part of their like game plan gone out the window, right?
yeah. Did you hear what
Like,
Jojo had to say about the Ivan? He was like, we should have won that game 2, and if we won game 2, I'm pretty sure they would have dropped the Ivan because we didn't
mhm.
think it was working, but then they kept picking it. Like that, all of that completely changes. And I'm not against change, but I think Yamato brought a good point. Chess 960 is like a very different type of chess. Like it's chess, but with all the pieces shuffled, right? And it's like completely random. And it's also called Fisher Random. It's a really fun format for one tournament for like a couple months, but it shouldn't be the main thing. Like these gimmicks should not be the main thing because then you lose a lot of what makes the game pure, in my opinion. Um,
Yeah.
so I'm not a fan of
It's-
Fearless all the time. I'm a fan. I've been saying this. First 3 months of the year, going like from January to March, we have full Fearless, and then we go on to like regular League of Legends. Hopefully, maybe some picks, pocket picks, seep in through that way, and I think that's great. Now, if we're doing it the entire year, I think you're losing a lot of what makes drafting interesting, and yes, it can get stale, but it's stale for a reason. It's because you can't beat impacts Jack, or you can't beat Bin's Jax, you can't beat his Camille. So then it takes someone like APA to come out with, or not APA but Impact, to come out with like, hey, I'm just gonna play Scion and win this way, or I'm gonna play this, I'm Whipple, I'm gonna play Volibear. Like it takes these innovators, and you're basically taking away innovation by forcing everybody to innovate. There's no longer meaningful innovate.
I as long as it's for me in one of either of two, like MSI or First Stand, I'm completely fine with having Fearless like them. I don't like it for Worlds, like you just pointed out, the purity of like competition. I think Worlds. This is why like I don't have a problem personally with the Worlds bracket being single elimination. I like that, like because I'm like big soccer fan, right? World Cup, you don't have second chances. It's
Mm.
you win or you go home, and that's like the ultimate like prize. So like that's why I wouldn't want a Fearless for the biggest competition in any esport. But I'm happy with it for this is the best I felt about like Pro League in a while. Like the enjoyment from watching like Fearless, and I don't want that the whole year because I feel that it gets like spoiled.
Hmm.
Um, I personally would rather have it MSI. I think you get to flex it out more with more teams than just 5 teams in like an international tournament. I don't see the point in having like a 5 team international tournament anyways, but especially adding Fearless into it because I feel like you're getting more value in the domestic play than I feel like yeah, I don't really feel like it's preparing you for that international competition as opposed to like it just being good for domestic.
Yeah, I guess David brings a good point. He says like there's been a lot of sports where you change one thing and everybody's like raving and be like, "Hey, this isn't pure anymore." Like I
Is
prefer the
David on
old way.
YouTube? Am
He's on
I
YouTube, yeah. And
got
then
I close YouTube and then someone else appears?
and then basically it becomes a situation where it's like, no, actually this way was better. The first thing that comes to mind is the 3-point line. If they didn't add that, like would we have Steph Curry? Would we have like the entire, basketball has changed, and some would argue for the better or for the worse. Um but yes, these things do change the way the game is played, and sometimes we might agree with them, we might disagree with them, and like you said, time will tell. I'll agree with that. I'll at least watch. Again, I've watched Fearless and LPL. I've watched it in NACL. Not too much. I didn't watch NACL, but I did interview Impact, and I actually asked him about Fearless, and he said the interesting thing was like he was like, I think Riot really wants to do it. I think it's a good idea, but the sad part is, why is it best of 3 Fearless? It's pretty pointless, no? In NA, like we only get best of 3. LPL gets best of 5s, which have been really cool so far. And he was like, yeah, we only get best of 3s. Like I feel like it's just kind of useless or pointless, but I think best like Fearless is a good idea.
I think like with Europe as well, right? Like they are
Best
missing
of
3 weeks
1.
of like
3
Europe
weeks
are
of best
getting
of 1.
three weeks of best of ones, no preparation on stage for thing, but they do get more they get best of 5 practice, whereas we really don't.
Yeah,
But
we
they
get
get more of it.
one best of 5.
Hmm.
Yeah, but I think I'm open to see it. I guess I really enjoy the system that I have now, and so when you're saying, "Hey, we're going to completely and entirely change this, and we're going to get rid of you seeing bin on Jax 5 games in a row," and like the enemy team try to counter that with like different strategies, I'm like, "But come on, this has been League for like the past 15 years, and maybe I'm old school, but unless,
Um,
well, I mean, we'll have to wait and see. I guess is
I
I
like
agree with
change
you.
when it doesn't affect all of them. So like David can talk about this way better than I can, but like in golf, for example, there is different tournaments, different formats, keeps it fresh. I like it. Ryder Cup's a bigger one. I don't watch golf like much, but that's the one that my dad and I watch every year or every time it's on.
Hmm.
Like I love the team format. Um, and like I think that kind of goes back to like the pure like LOL. Like for Worlds, I like it like old school, but throughout the year, I'm completely fine with like new like ideas. Like I would rather what we're getting now than what we're getting in spring, which is freaking best of ones again.
Oh, I agree. I'd much rather take best of threes, single like or not single round robin, but best of 3 tournament style than to go back to a single round robin best of ones. Or double round robin best of ones. I agree with you there.
Mm.
Yeah.
Like I'm not a big fan of just the classic double limb bracket for like a quick tournament, but I would still choose this over best of ones.
Yeah, I think my honestly, if they came out with a
Sorry, can I
legitimate
just add one
reason,
thing?
yeah, go ahead.
Going to best of ones from what we're gonna get this split is going to hit like a brick.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna be like never have best of ones again. LEC are gonna be absolutely complaining when they're watching all of us play best of threes fearless and they're getting boring best of ones for 3 weeks.
Yeah, we're getting it for a full split, brother. I think my main issue was Mark Z. Mark Z's justification for it. He was like, teams want to be in the spotlight twice a week instead of once. And then like 4 out of 8 teams come out and be like, no, that's not true. We prefer best of threes and only play once a week. And
And
then
they were the main teams.
there are 8
They
teams,
would have
but just remember this: one of them is like not even a full time, like isn't here full time. It's a guest team. The other one is a provisional team. So like, what's left? What's left? You basically it's like 4v2
the thing is,
basically, or 4v3.
these
Like
are all. I think most of the orgs that responded are your top teams that
yes,
drive in your viewership.
yeah. Oh,
Shopify,
Valorant
but
scheduling is the reason for it. Really?
oh, one thing, suck it, Valorant fans. You can enjoy the LCS prison
Yeah,
for a few weeks this season.
you guys can use it.
While LTA gets the main stage, they have to go down to the dungeon. I'm looking forward to that.
I'm looking for Valorant to go into the dungeon.
Actually, I'm not looking forward to that because they're going to choose C9 to go down to the dungeon. Because I don't think it's every team.
Oh, I don't know how it
Choose one of
works.
the most hated Valorant teams.
Honestly, I'm all for just and like LCS being in the dungeon, being in the closet, and like if Valorant is giving you more viewership, play to Valorant. But if we're literally getting best of ones because we want to make room for Valorant, like that's sad. I would rather play in the dungeon.
All I would say is it was a weak response to like when teams are actively coming out and saying you're lying, or like
Yeah.
that's not fully true.
Oh, build another East Coast studio. Oh, hell yeah, dude. That would be amazing. Or just use the Team Liquid one. We have a huge Team Liquid facility here in the East Coast, Washington D.C. Just go there. Fly your people out there. Put them in hotels. I guess it's too expensive. No, no. Build another studio. The Riot Games Arena is due for an expansion, anyways. Yeah, it is what it is.
Bring back that. I don't know if you remember the very small arena they had for like 2017, whereas like the players could hardly walk out of like it was
The
literally
battle
just the
arena.
stage,
Yeah,
and then they literally it's that weird one where there's like hardly any crowd. Like I don't know what happened to that
I don't know either. I
because they
think
had crowd for it as well. Wasn't like much, but I'd rather that than some studio where they're trying to force a narrative of like players fighting.
yeah. I mean, honestly, they could have done a lot more in the forcing, but I do want to talk about C9 because you did mention them. So,
Hmm.
explain to me why is C9 Kia? Like, what is the significance? They've been partnered with Kia, so like, what is this announcement that Cloud9 is super happy about?
Um, Essentially just
Money.
like an expansion. Like, well, yes, that and I think like is just like an evolution, as they said. Like TO has Team Liquid Honda. I know some fans are really unhappy that it's not just C9. It doesn't bother me how many times you hear Team Liquid Honda really. Like you have to sometimes for like I think they do the bare minimum for like sponsorship purposes. Like you have to reference it sometimes, but as for the press release they announced, the main thing I'm looking forward to is live events. I am curious what that's going to offer.
Yeah.
Um, I want it to be specifically like, not just LA. I don't think it will be. Um, with Kia, you can do for future show matches have your own now because you got D plus Kia, right?
Yeah,
So now
exactly.
you
Yeah.
don't need to like not leech off BNK, but you don't have to now use that avenue for like off season content. But the main thing like I want to ask to them is like, what are you gonna do now like throughout the year? Because like Valorant already, they have they did quite a few like watch parties with one of the colleges. I really can't remember the name, but um, the main thing is this is a League of Legends specific one, and that's what like excites me because they've kind of lacked like they haven't been like given the full attention. Like if you look at how their Valorant teams treated in terms of like content, and how they're marketed, night and day to the League team. The only thing the League team gets is significant money on players. Well, former players.
I was about to say they spent all the money, all the marketing budget that went there as well. Apparently.
Yes, I agree with this with you because teams are now starting to like sell off their stadium name rights. So I believe Barcelona has their stadiums called like the Spotify Camp Nou.
Oh.
Um, a team in the Premier League, Newcastle, is their stadium name is literally a shop name. It's like the Sports Direct Stadium.
Sorry, I think I may have
E-
messed something up by accident. No, I didn't. Okay.
Everything good?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if Team Liquid announced their jerseys yet or not, if it was still under embargo, and I kind of sort of already released the video. Um, but no, I'm fine. There is no embargo on that.
Did you see the 100 Thieves one got leaked?
It got leaked? Who leaked it?
Yeah, poor
Sniper?
Pedro. No,
Oh,
Pedro.
so an
Pedro
interviewer leaked
Mera.
it. Oh, I see.
Yeah, so like he uploaded one with one of the Valorant players. Then it was already like up.
Oh,
David,
no,
if you're here, what do you think of the jersey, or you're gonna hold off comments until it's officially released?
I did not see that. I did Pedro
I
upload any like league ones yet? I've
I
been
think
keeping
he's.
an eye out just to
I
Pedro.
wouldn't be surprised if he's not, just because he is absolutely popped off in the Valorant community.
Dang, yeah, he's been doing well. Yeah, I don't see any
Hmm.
league stuff. Awesome. I'm happy for him. Um, yeah, I think that the Team Liquid have like Coinbase now as one of their sponsors. I don't know if they announced that or not, but it's on their jersey.
I did not know that. Interesting.
Yeah, it's on. That was the first thing I noticed about when I was talking to Impact. Um, so maybe that's why I was like, wait a minute. Did they even announce? Did I just leak something? But hey, I wasn't told. I couldn't show, so I posted it. Um,
Mm.
the thing I am very excited to see like Cloud9 do an East Coast event. I feel like it probably makes sense if you go to New York, bring Damwon over the off season or something. Do like a cool little event. Maybe bring a third team, bring NRG, right? Because they're NRG Kia and they're totally still in the league. That would be really cool. But um, I'm just excited for teams to do stuff outside of Riot. Just like give us more cool things.
Well, I
BNK
think
like
this will give
showmatch is
them
cool.
more. I think this will definitely give them more resources for league specific because I think like Portillo said this in his interview with David. Like they are stretched thin in some ways. Like they have a
Mm-hmm.
lot, and they can't always put the same amount of effort in, um, like that I would like to for every team. But with this, I don't think it's an inflection of cash by Kia, but I would assume that they're going to help them a lot with activations, with like tailgates. I assume every week they'll have like a Kia like booth going on.
Ooh, okay.
I well, that's what I assume, right? Because like that's what they're kind of like hyping up in the press release that Kia are going to be like quite like impactful on C9's season, right?
I mean, I hope
And
so. I
that like
hope we get like
this is
Kia
about
post
content.
game.
So
Like, oh, sorry, what did you say?
and like well, they mentioned content as well. So like if they're going to help C9 out of content, I don't care that it's not like truly C9, but like they're getting like they are getting avenues like to actually do league content. And the one thing I will praise players for is all the players outside of Blab has been like streaming recently.
Blabber was streaming until December, so he did stream for a bit.
I mean like this like month leading up to LTA.
Wait, Sven has been streaming? I didn't see
Yeah,
Sven. I've seen Vulcan. I've seen like Thanatos and Loki,
Sven's been
but
streaming. Yeah,
oh,
like
I guess I
Sven's
must have missed it.
been he's streaming with like Loki, Judo Vulcan.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I did watch one of his streams recently. Never mind. Um,
He's been playing Victor Bot, which is very interesting.
yeah, I was watching his stream maybe like last week. I was watching Yankos and Sven because they were playing against each other. And Yankos was just camping Sven. And Sven was just like, "What am I supposed to do? I can't do anything. I can't do anything. Elise is just always here." Which it was. I mean, poor guy was straight up getting camped. I actually think a really cool piece of content would be just every week at the end of the week or after games, just have one of the players drive the Kia, like drive a car and like interview him for like 5 minutes, ask him about the games, ask him, and like halfway through, just be like, "Oh, how's the?" He's like, "Oh yeah, this new auto drive
I
like
think
is
that
super
I think that'd
smooth."
work if that's if all the players have driving license. But we don't know how
Oh,
many players
true.
can actually.
I mean, I would assume Blabber, Sven, Vulcan. I would assume. I might be wrong, but I mean, how hard is it to get a license, right?
Or at least put a camera in the front dash and then just have an interview between driver and passenger.
Yeah, but then it's less natural to bring up how smooth this Kia is. Or like, oh wow, I didn't realize like the autopilot let you do that. Or like, just bring it in somehow. And yeah, that's why I was talking about Cloud9 going to New York is because I know their COD team is based in New York. So make doing something not just because it's close to
It's
me,
based
but
in New York, but the team lives in LA.
wait, what?
Yeah, it was I believe a couple of requirements from some of the players because like they want to stay in LA.
Oh,
And because well, C9 has like literally a cul-de-sac to themselves. So like they
interesting.
have houses, like they have a Valorant house, they have a League house. I think that today they're literally doing a like Cloud9 barbecue. So
Oh,
like the COD team, the Valorant team, and the League team are all like going to be attending.
I would have liked an invite, but okay.
I said they should do content. I don't think they will. Obviously, I think it's more like a chill
Yeah,
private thing. But
just have fun. That's interesting. The other team news, I guess, is Shopify. I don't know how much I can say about this, but Sayus doesn't have his visa. There's visa issues, and we're going to be playing with Zazel. I thought it was really cool that they actually flew Sayus out for media day. Did all the media day for like Riot, for Shopify as well, and then like obviously he's gonna go back to Brazil. But I thought it was, I don't think there's been another time where something like that has happened where a person's like waiting on their work visa but still went over, just to visit and do some media. I know you got a chance to interview him. I don't know if you want to talk about the interview at all, or what your thoughts were, but I
uh, what I can share is it's like he's really like passionate about fandom. That's all I can really say. David, if you're listening, I really am looking forward to writing this one up because I went heavily on the fandom narrative, and like he okay, I will say one thing. He predicts that he's going to get booed if Shopify make it to playoffs. That's all like that. I'll leave it there. But he believes as much as the Brazilian fans love him, they're gonna boo him because he's on an American team.
you know I think
When they're not
normally,
playing Brazilian teams, they will
yeah,
cheer the living daylights out of Shopify. Because, but if it's against another Brazilian team, straight up
exactly.
booze.
Yeah, he's always going to get booed. But I think he's not going to get it as bad as any other player. Like if literally any other Brazilian player were to go to the US, like top player. I'm not talking about like, some random rando, right? I'm talking about like their top players like Chitan, like Chinos, Hobu, like the top players. They would all just like be considered traitors and whatnot. It's only because of the Kaboom situation where Seus was like, I either don't play in tier one because Kaboom has me under contract, or I play with Shopify. Like everybody's looking at Shopify like, hey, we're really cool, we're saviors, instead of how dare he betray our country. It's like, no, 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 our country betrayed him. Like we betrayed him. So I think he has it better than, like, he made the best. He has the best of both worlds for sure. But I think
It's
that
such a weird situation for fans, right? Because uh, yes, they can blame him, they can blame Shopify, they can blame Kaboom, but then you can also blame Riot for actually doing this whole thing to begin with. Because if they didn't, he'd still be probably playing in Brazil.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I think I haven't seen people complain about that ever since like he was announced to Shopify. I think, the Kaboom project again. Seyus brought this upon himself. He actually mentioned how like he could have stayed on Loud, he could have joined
Hmm.
Pain, and he chose to go to Kaboom, who had Malrong, and he was like, oh snap, LEC champion. Like, I mean, okay, Kaboom was a bit of a super team. It failed, but I can understand why he wanted to join. Like his previous coaches as well, Von, and like all these other people. So there was a bunch of reasons for him to join, but I think I think he'll be very well treated by the Brazilian fans. Obviously, they're gonna boo him. Like they have to if he's playing against Brazilian teams. But I think if Shopify does well, like Brazilians will be proud. Either way. So there's that. I think I think Beans was saying this earlier. He was like, maybe Shopify could be top four, but with Zazel, everybody's just like, okay, they're not gonna make top five, like top four without Sayus. Um, I don't know. It is a little bit worrying that we don't have the visa, and I don't think there was like a timeline. I don't think you can get a timeline for things
Thought
like
we were
these.
past all this nonsense. I thought last year, I think teams were really good at getting their stuff done early, so like these wouldn't be a problem. I'm quite disappointed because I hate having to try and like analyze a team that doesn't have their
Yeah.
working parts.
So I will say, without giving out too much, this time wasn't Shopify's fault. Like it just it was completely and entirely out of their hands, unfortunately. Like if they
Hmm.
could have, they did their due. Sometimes teams are like incompetent and they don't file for the visa until late. Like I've heard behind the scenes stories of like, oh yeah, the reason he doesn't have his visa is because the manager was like, oh yeah, I turned it in, and he didn't actually like finish signing the paperwork or something stupid like that. This is not
Yeah.
one of those cases. This is one of the cases where we have been on top of this for months, and it's just not under our control, unfortunately. So, um, yeah.
So
Otherwise,
now, like,
I
how are
would be
you?
speaking up. I would be yelling. I'd be like, okay, last year Bvoy didn't come here on time, and now you're telling me Seus isn't here on time. Like, what the hell are we just in? I would be the first person yelling at my team, but
At
I know what
least,
happened, and
so it depends how like you see it. I definitely like got the vibe from the LCK broadcast. This split doesn't really. I was angry at that, by the way. Like when I'm hearing an LCK caster say like it, not that it does. I'm paraphrasing, but like the vibes were like it doesn't matter until we start getting into regular seasons from like next split. And I'm bothered by that because why should I care about LCK Cup, LEC Winter, like LCS split? I keep calling it LCS still. LTA split one. Like, why should I care about this international event if it doesn't really matter towards records or anything? Like, why are you setting the standard that this doesn't really matter that much?
so if you thought we were against change, LCK is like 10 times against it.
Yeah,
Um,
they are salty because they're like not perfect formula, but the exact same formula they've used for years outside of some playoff alterations are being changed. Yeah, and like
yeah.
that's the thing where I don't want this to be like a like yeah, LCS is correct. I agree. Um but like why I'm still gonna watch anyways. Like one, it's my job, and two, I don't really care what one LCK caster thinks. I'm still gonna cheer as hard for my team when they play.
Look,
But
when
it's really disappointing when like a major like when one of the two made like yes NAE or major regions, but like two of the powerhouse like regions, like one of the main casters is saying this doesn't really matter, guys.
yeah, I look, it'll matter if they win. If they win first stand in Korea in
Oh,
Seoul Park, like
suddenly it's
oh,
the most
it's the
important
most
tournament of
important.
the
Yeah,
year.
it's like this is a caliber. Look how we won Worlds and how we won this. If it is like, dude, unfortunately, we didn't win, but again, doesn't matter. Now we're into the real League of Legends.
Because I'm
I
pretty sure it was actually I think it was during the Berserker DNF games where I think they were talking about it and they're like, we'll see how he gets on like when the regular like splits really matter. I'm paraphrasing, of course. I can't remember fully. I
uh
just remember the messaging being really like this isn't as serious as like others, which really frustrates me because why are we having three international events if one of them doesn't matter?
I know.
And like
I do not.
it should be like it should be up to fans to like kind of decide in some ways. Like why is casters and players saying this doesn't matter?
Because I mean, Double Lift would say it. No one complained. Actually, everybody complained. Don't I take that back?
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, I was talking to Impact, and he mentioned. I asked him like, okay, you've won LCS 6 times now. To you personally, what's more important, like doing well internationally, or do you just want to keep winning domestically? Is that like more important? He was like, no, I mean, domestic success is nice and all, but like international is where it's at. And he actually said like, yeah, technically maybe people were like NA is a major region, or maybe no, it's actually not a major region. Only China and Korea should be major regions. Like
I think
NAEU
context
should.
matters for like impact though. Like the dude's 30, he needs to obviously pacing himself as you get older in like any sport is like important. So like I
Yeah,
can kind of I will understand him because he's like the dude. Like how young was Sniper when this dude was winning worlds, right?
like not born or something. Yeah, in diapers.
Exactly,
Yeah, but like the interesting
exactly.
thing was that he actually said like, regardless of whether we're a major region or not, like the top two regions are Korea and China, and I want to elevate. Like my personal goal is to get NA to be on that tier, so that it's like NA Korea and China, not just Korea and China. And I was like, dang, dude,
Thing
that is
is,
respectable.
the second NA starts doing like well, not like equal to Korea, but starts like pushing them. There's going to be a demand from the Korean fans to for these players to take this seriously, and then suddenly you're straight back to everyone's getting bitch slapped by Korea and China. because they're actually taking this event seriously.
Dude, can you imagine NA winning first stand? Nah. Or
No, I
Brazil,
can't.
even better, Brazil winning it. Oh, dude, that is.
No, I can't.
I know. That is a completely different universe. We don't live in that world, do we?
There,
But
like, it doesn't matter how. Dude, there were some arse Asian teams at Worlds last year, and we still couldn't beat them. Like, there were some
FlyQuest
like,
lost to Dongwon, man. Come on.
like there were some like that's what there are some tragic Korean and Chinese teams that
I felt like the
really.
four Chinese teams were good, actually. I just felt like the main weak team was like Dongwon. The
No, but the thing
Asian
is,
team.
I have a standard of NA1 should be beating anyone outside of the pure tournament favorites.
When has that ever been a thing? When have we ever, besides
No, but like
2018?
we're like the thing is, I want like so FlyQuest like next year, like this year for like international. I like Europe one. I can understand if you lose to G2. Anything below that, no. Like
No,
that's not going to cut it for me.
I don't think we should be losing
Like
to G2.
depends what kind of G2. Like the
They're a
thing
new
is, like the one
team. You
thing.
guys have over a year of experience. You should not be losing to
Okay,
G2.
okay, that yes, but G2 has always been a team, regardless of how like wonky they've looked, like domestically. They will always take like you see the like FlyQuest lost to Dan one. Normally G2 wins that. Like even if they look bad, like NA doesn't do that. Like so, I think it was LNG at MSI like last year or 2023. Yeah, it's 23. I'm literally looking at my
MSI
picture.
23,
Like
LNG didn't make it.
yeah. Uh,
It was BLG and
no, it
JDG
may have been
23.
BLG at that time. I know like scrims. Cino apparently absolutely like messing them up in scrims.
It
So
was
I
the
had
other
the
way
expect.
around.
No,
No,
that
no, no.
I was
Blabber
speaking.
said they were absolutely destroying them to the point when they got them in.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Oh, okay.
Like
I thought you said the other way
C9
around.
was absolutely destroying BLG. So I was like, okay,
No, no.
I want to see you
C9 was
push them.
getting destroyed, is what he
No,
said.
I no, because I'm pretty sure. No, in the interview they were saying they had success against Chinese teams, but they were getting destroyed by Korean teams.
Maybe I'm misremembering then. Okay.
Yeah. So I was like, okay. My expectation as the NA1 seed, I want you to take a game off these. If Golden Guardians can take a game of
I know,
freaking
right?
JDG, like this is my expectation that I want to start like setting for my NA1 seed is start making this less embarrassing. Like that's all I don't want you. I don't. You don't have to beat them. Like I was proud of FlyQuest and they didn't win. I was proud of TL against T1. Was it Esports World Cup? They
Uh-huh.
didn't win. Like Fly versus Humble Life last year. Like they didn't win, but they made me like
Believe.
you made us not don't even believe it's just respectable for what we are because we have to like we're never winning worlds, we're never winning MSI, we're never winning first stand. But I at least want to make us like respectable enough, and then you can have those conversations of because I feel people like jump steps.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think for me the steps are you beat everyone that's yeah.
Below
You
you,
may
like
say
EU.
G
Yes, I
two.
agree.
You may, G2 is like I'm not saying not too upset, but G2 have got enough in the bank for me where I will accept like if they lose them, like okay. But like TL last year absolutely destroyed Fnatic every time that they played them. I'm pretty sure FlyQuest did as well.
I don't think Fly played
I don't know
Fnatic,
if it,
but
but
Fly
yeah.
played
So
G2
like
at EWC and they lost 2-1.
yeah, that's what I mean. Like I'm happy that we're not making these like 2-0s anymore. And I think to me that's the evolution. Start taking games.
Yeah, I mean,
Start
we took
taking
games
games and
from
get
Genji,
beliefs.
so
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like
I I have a different. I'm like, look, if you lose to the number one Korean and Chinese, maybe even number two Korean and Chinese, sure. As the number one seed from an A, you should not be losing to any EU team. You should not be losing to third and fourth seed. The fact that Team Liquid, our second seed, lost, like, I know they're a second seed, but they were like super close to being our first seed. The fact that they lost to, China, both third and fourth seed from China, like, that's just not acceptable, man. That's just, it isn't. FlyQuest, first seed, losing to third, should be fourth seed from Korea. That team didn't even make it out. Like, come on, nah. I
Mm.
I think that was unacceptable. Now, again, they made up for it, but actually interesting you mentioned like recognition. That's one thing Impact says in his answer to like me asking him about international. He's like the difference is like when you play well domestically, sure you win, but then you don't get the international like recognition. So that was something that was like on his
Do
radar
you know
as
what I
well. He's
used
like, I
to
want people to
absolutely
look at NA
hate?
as a strong region.
Do you know what I used to absolutely hate? Every single year, Faker would say, I think, because C9, I think historically they're normally a very good international scrim team. And then Faker's always like, yeah, this C9 team can really cause damage every single year. And it's like, please stop. Because then that's what
Stop.
get memes. That's what gets memed. I'm pretty sure he said it about the I think it's the 2023 C9. Yeah, one of Eminez. He's like, this C9's really good, and then we didn't get a kill against them in the time we played them.
That's hilarious. I think the only time C9 has like okay, the time that C9 did make it to semifinals, like T1 wasn't even there. So maybe it is a T1 curse.
Oh, well, that used to be the reason we used to get out of a lot of these groups, so I kind of allowed them.
Yeah, they would like beat up on EDG so you guys could make it out. Yeah.
Well, yeah, well, we also did our part, but
You
you know
did.
what I
I'm not
mean.
saying you didn't deserve it, but
Yeah.
like as a TSM fan, I was like, okay, you get a group that's like super easy, and we get like literally two of the finalists in our team, and like we're a better team than you, but you guys had to play what J team? Like, come on, man. We had to play freaking Samsung Galaxy, like literally finalists and RNG, probably the third
Oh,
best team in the world. Come on, man.
our 29 group, like, the thing is, I genuinely thought that C9 were good in 2019 at Worlds, and we had the freaking finalist and the Korean cracked kid super team.
Okay, in my defense, that team should have made it out of group, but you guys were so incompetent and playing that one style where like liquor,
No,
like
that was our
sneaky.
our bot lane through that game.
Yes,
Not
multiple
like,
games, not just that game. Your bot lane just refused to win.
oh, do you remember like, we played G2 and our top side was absolutely shitting on them. I remember Blabber on Elise against Yankos, destroying him. Licorice Solica Wonder and Niski was doing alright, and then our bot lane was like 0 and 10 against Perks' Zaya. That oh my god, he's just made me remember that game.
Yeah, I think I
That
remember
was it. Did you know
when.
I've always said this that game? That's the most angry I've ever been, and the Jensen Echo exists.
Okay, come on. I've been memeing Jensen's Echo since
Dude,
2016. Come on, that can't be
we
worse.
were
Or
so
17.
far up, and Sneaky got 100-0 crit chance, and we lost the game. And then after that, we could have won 3-0.
Did you see Licorice after that game? I remember looking at
Yes,
Licorice
I
and his
remember. I
face was
watched the
so
video,
red.
and he
He
was
was
like, "What's the
so
point in?" No,
pissed.
did you watch the doc?
I did, yeah.
I'm paraphrasing. He's like, "Well, what's the point in playing if our bot lane can't
Yeah.
like?"
If our bot lane's gonna throw when all they have to do is not die and they decide to do the one thing they shouldn't do. Yeah.
Dude, and I finally get the Licorice Fiora, because that was hyped even on like E United, and then he brought it out against what's their name? What was the name of that team? The Korean team.
The in 2019 they played against
Oh, what was the name of them? It's the thing, like, it's when like Chovian were all there, like um oh,
Griffin.
what am
There we
I?
go, Griffin.
Griffin, there we go. I was blanking.
Yeah. All right, I got I think we covered everything. The only thing is like
We kind of went into like history, so that normally is a good sign we've run out of things to
yeah,
talk about.
I know you did 3 interviews. Do you want to shout out any of the other interviews that you did?
Uh so I never like so I said like I was gutted with one how it turned out. I kind of went like with a different approach to. I interviewed Blabber, Golden Glue, and Seos. Seos and Golden Glue went really well, normal style. I think they absolutely look good, and I'm excited to like release them. But that one I kind of went in like a different direction. Um, that I'll probably talk about like later. It's just a different style of questioning that I just don't think, at least for myself, I don't know how like, he thought, but I just felt like they didn't land like great. And so like with my type of work, I we don't just at all we don't just publish unless it's like omega names. Like say I got Faker, that's going up within like 5 minutes. But well, I assume. But with like, everyone else, it's called like features, like feature writing. So like it's more like a story based thing with quotes in between. So like each one of my interviews had like a narrative I wanted to hear.
Mm.
Um, and like that's where the one I felt it didn't really like hit because like I went for not like a negative like thing, but I was really trying to like push him on like things that C9 fans and I'm a C9 fan, right? So I feel like I wouldn't have been doing them justice if I didn't kind of like hit harder questions, maybe. So that's the only one I was like disappointed in because I don't like wasting players' times. Like, and he answered every question perfectly. By the way, it's just I didn't feel like I did like the best job of that one.
I have a question about like sort of philosophy. You're a Cloud9 fan, so when you asking Cloud9 like questions, you probably have a little bit of like not bias, but you have a little bit of like vested interest. Let's put it that way. Same
I
thing.
I would say it's a bias because
Yeah.
like I may not ask players like hard like the one thing I'm like I've never been like great with is really like trying to not push players' buttons, but really like try push it like press when like there's certain feelings, certain emotions, like certain things they say. Um, but with this one, I tried to because like I've been very like vocal on not being happy with the team as of late,
Yeah.
and like I like just because I didn't go into that interview like expressing those emotions, but it was more trying to explore things that were said by C9 and like, said by Blabber like at the end of last season, and it was mainly like a follow up on like how will these things be addressed. Like that's the only
Mm,
like thing I'll say on the interview, but it's more like trying to just explore like what changes are being made because I think they were very vocal on like things that went wrong.
I see. I the reason I'm asking is because I whenever I do Shopify interviews, I'm very open with the fact that look, I'm a fan. I'm going to be asking like whatever I want. This is like not the same as all the other interviews. It's going to be like I'm a Shopify fan, so like here's Shopify fan perspective. Um, and like I've gotten comments on it before, but at the end of the day, like, look, I'm a fan of your team, and when I get interviews, like people are like, "Oh, stop fanboying." I'm like, I'm not fanboying. I'm just being
But at the
me.
end
You
of the day,
know?
you're a fan creator, right?
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
I always try to tell this when like people criticize yours or David's work. If you don't like fan content, don't watch fan
Don't watch
content.
fans making content. That's funny.
Like you're not getting paid for like your expert analysis on the game. Like I'm not like I don't watch you and David for like that.
Hmm.
Like I like yours and David's approaches. I like how you speak about the game because the one thing like if yours and David's takes were absolute garbage, I wouldn't watch. But like there's things I when I watch both of you, I agree, disagree. But that's the whole point. Like it allows me to no, I don't always. I used to always reply on like David's videos and comment, but and now I will sit there and I will think about like sometimes I'll watch like videos of yours or his. I will just pause the video and like kind of think internally about that discussion and like how would I see it because I feel like a lot of people just they will hear one thing you say, oh, absolute trash take, and then start like typing in your comment section.
In my experience, this happened multiple times. I will engage the person. I was like, "Oh, why do you think that?" And then he'd be like, "Well, this isn't true." And I'll like, by the end of the time, he's like, "Oh, actually, I agree with you." Like, legitimately, this happened with like the Palafox interview that I did. Not interview, sorry, the Palafox video where it's like, "Hey, it's not surprising that most people have Shopify, like, are not excited for Shopify. Is he the worst mid laner?" And like someone was like, "Dude, you should stick with interviews." And I was like, "Why do you think so?" And he's like, "Well, he wasn't bad." I was like, "Well, what about this?" He was like, "Well, yeah, he just okay, he wasn't the best, but he just." And then we kept going back and forth, and I was like, "Well, would you agree that it's fan sentiment, the community thinks that he's like one of the worst. He was like, yeah, like, so I'm addressing the community sentiment. Do you think like that's not something we should do? He's like, no, you should address this. So I was like, what's the argument? And he was like, yeah, I guess you made your point. And it's like one of those things where like you hear it and immediately you have a visceral reaction, but then if you actually like move back and just like think about it a little bit, kind of like what you're saying, you'd be like, oh, okay, maybe I see where he's coming from. Now
I
you don't have
try
to
to
agree.
internally come to the conclusion that I may be given if I ask, rather than straight away like combat it.
Mm.
Like, I've heard bad takes. Like everyone, you, me, they, we all have some terrible takes. But like the main thing is like I used to get like not for yours and David's videos, but like I used to hear anything that I really don't like, and it would like eat at me. But
Mm.
now I at least
Ooh, speak for yourself, man, not him.
uh
His takes are great. I agree. I've
minus
agreed with most of his
minus
takes,
the
though.
minus the soccer team that you choose. Your takes are great.
Wait, what soccer team is he cheer for?
Chelsea.
I mean, blue is the color. It's not that bad. Historically, not that bad. Maybe not right now, not that great, but historically.
Oh no, it's the other way around. They have no history, but they are.
Ah, dude, park the bus. Come on. Excuse me, sir. My logic is flawless. Is as flawless as my spelling, as flawless as my reading as well. Um, but yeah, for myself, I have a few shout outs. The impact interview I thought went phenomenal. In terms of like the amount of information that he gave, not in terms of like me being good at what I did. It was my first time doing an interview in Korean. I was very, very nervous and like I was stuttering the entire way. And it is what it is.
You
Like,
do that, Woohee? You're banned. Sorry, I had to
no, you're
respond
not.
to.
Do it. That's funny. Yeah. So
We need to get some mods.
I was quite nervous, and it was I got my point across. He understood what I meant, which I think if I didn't do it in Korean, I wouldn't have gotten the answers that I wanted or the answers that he gave. I thought he was very honest. It's funny. The first comment was like that I got like feedback to the questions that I asked was like, man, these are brutal questions. I was like, it's okay, it's impact. Like if it was Corey J, for example, I wouldn't do it. But the fact that it was impact and that it was his native language, I felt like I could go like a little bit more deep. He talked about like how he felt. One thing I won't spoil everything, but one thing that I thought was very interesting was like he says he's always been a nervous kind of guy. I didn't know that he struggled with nerves. And apparently it wasn't an issue until after they lost finals to FlyQuest, and then it became an issue and like it affected him at
Hmm,
Worlds. That part, like
that's interesting.
I didn't expect that at all. The fact he talked about it like a health issue, like he had to go to the hospital a couple times, like he just straight up couldn't breathe. He's doing fine, but like he talks about that too. I thought that was very like he was very open with the fans, and he was like, "Yeah, there's a reason like you haven't heard from me after Worlds. Like I've been trying to get this health condition figured out." Um, so yeah, I thought they were
What
really
was
cool
his
gems.
What was his reaction to you speaking in his native language?
I talked to him initially, like he wasn't surprised. Like he was at first, he was like, "Oh, sure, we can do it in Korean." Because like at first, I talked to him a little bit before the recording started, and I was like, "Yeah, it's my first time." He was like, "No, go for it." And then afterwards, he was like, "Yeah, you can tell sometimes." I switched to English a couple times by accident, and then like we both kind of laughed that I was speaking English. But he uh he was like, "No, you did good." He was like, "Even now, like because I've been in the U.S. for so long, sometimes I say things like in an English way instead of Korean." He was very kind and like supportive, so that was nice. And then I did a Tomo interview, which I thought went great as well. He talks about like, dude, Tomo has been on Dignitas 3 times. I had to bring it up. I was like, look, this is the
It is
third
the
time.
C9 Valorant equivalent of like plus player, minus player.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, you were there like one split, the next split you're off, the third split you're back on. He was like, no, I had long talk with Rigby to make sure I'm not getting kicked out for my first split because I'm a little bit traumatized. So I thought that was a really cool interview.
I
Um,
wouldn't. That's a bold thing to like. I don't know if they promised him, but that's a bold thing for orgs to like promise.
I mean, yeah, and then I did
Also,
do it.
David, while you're here, what do you think of the new 100 Thieves jersey that got leaked?
I don't know if you saw it or
Uh,
not, but yeah, did you see the leak of the 100th jersey? I don't know if he did any interviews. If he did interviews, you probably already saw it, right?
I don't remember from David's tweet saying he was.
Yeah, I don't know if he did anything with Hundred Thieves, but you probably saw it from
I
Golden Glue was probably wearing it, right?
No, he was wearing a like blazer and like plain. Ah, okay, okay.
Okay, okay. We're under embargo, so not speaking on it.
Well, you stole it from me.
And then the last interview I have is with contracts, but that one I can't post it until a certain day, because also under embargo. But until we technically can, even if I didn't interview. Okay. Yeah, so I also have a contracts interview, but he was wearing the jersey, so until they announce their jerseys, I can't. But I will say everything I wanted from the jersey is
I can
there.
speak on my team.
Dude, your jersey, I loved it. I told you, like,
I really like the jacket. And
yeah.
I didn't think that the patches that they did for the like specifically like esports crest
Uh-huh.
was gonna work. I actually quite liked it.
Outside, yeah,
So
the
like,
V-neck, exactly, Woohee. The V-neck is not that great and like not a fan. But I thought like all these doodles and the fact that you actually went out of your way and explained like, hey, the reason like this is from this and this from that, that gave a lot of lore to the jersey and made me feel like, okay, this is a Cloud9 jersey. And I feel like Shopify have the same thing, not the same way, but like when you look at it, you're like, even if the logo isn't there, you know that's a Shopify jersey. Some of these like Hundred Thieves jerseys, if you remove like the Hundred Thieves branding, you just be like, it's a cool shirt, it's a cool jersey, but I wouldn't know who that's from. And like
yeah,
I
I
don't
agree
like
with
that
you. I really
personally.
like the track jacket with the like branding of the sponsors now because that's what like we have been getting more and more. The Pagoda one's interesting. I assume they're just doing that with a lot of teams. I assume.
I think FlyQuest, right? FlyQuest Cloud9 and LCS, or maybe I'm making that up. Maybe it's not FlyQuest.
I can't remember who. Someone was like Hot Pockets as well at one
Yeah.
point.
I'm hungry. All right. We should end this. I'm
Yeah,
I'm, I'm getting hungry.
yeah, I'm down. I'm down.
All right. Thanks everyone for watching. This is a cool episode. 100 T's. I like the Adidas
Uh,
original look. The
I
retro
wouldn't
vibe. Yeah.
respond because we're under embargo.
Oh, I haven't seen it, so I'm not tech. I mean, I guess I am under embargo, but I haven't seen it. So does that count?
I prefer not to speak. If speak, big trouble.
If speak big trouble. All right, all right. I'm not under. He's not under embargo. You can say all he wants. All right. Thank
True.
you guys for watching. Yeah, this the I'll have like the Twitter and everything. Like we're making new handles for the show. Eventually, we'll want to have like this all in its own place. But you still know about it, so I'd say yes. Okay, yeah, then I won't speak about it. So yeah, I think the show's been fun. Thanks for everyone for hanging out, and we'll see you. So we haven't gotten confirmation if we can co-stream it or not. Can we? The
So what I
draw
was told
show
is
on the 18th.
unlikely no.
Okay.
Um, but it's up to you. Don't want to put you pressure on live. I'm down to like live view it or live reaction it or even like straight after. Don't know what your times are
I
looking
think
like.
straight after would be good. I think we could go up like right after the draw show finishes. We go live and we just talk about the draw show and like how mad or happy or sad we are. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah.
All right. And if
So
we have
even
each
if
other
you
in the
want,
same group, we gotta fight.
David, if you would to join, feel free. Or maybe we can open it up to everyone. It's up to you.
Yeah, we can like talk
It'd
about
be a
it
bit
and then we
messy.
can
It'd
make
be
a
a bit
tweet.
messy.
Yeah, let's see.
Yeah.
All right, but that's pretty much it. Thanks guys for watching. We'll see you Saturday, right? 18th is Saturday? Or am I
Saturday,
crazy? Yeah.
yes.
All right, we'll see you guys Saturday. Bye guys.
Peace.